NASA manages over 1,000 WordPress websites. Disney, more than 60. The world's biggest brands, such as Microsoft, Uber, Salesforce, and Apple, manage digital experiences across a variety of platforms. And the crazy part is their marketing teams push updates every single day without waiting on developers and without breaking anything. So what's their secret? They're using a methodology called atomic design. It's a system where small building blocks, or atoms, combine into larger components, or molecules. Update one atom or molecule, and everything using it updates automatically. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how they do it. I'll break down the 5 levels of atomic design, I'll demonstrate each level live in WordPress, and share the 5 biggest mistakes most enterprises make while implementing this system. Let's dive in. Now, before I explain how atomic design works, let's start with why design systems matter in the first place. A good way to understand this is to ask the inverse of the question. What happens when you don't have a design system in place? Here's maybe how that goes. You work tirelessly and invest in a beautiful website. On launch day, it looks perfect, but then something changes. Maybe it's feedback from your audience or a market shift. You make small tweaks in design here and small tweaks in content there. Maybe your team adds a special announcement banner, and then someone wants a testimonial, but only on select case studies. And then there's that one page you just decided to make the logo a little bit bigger. 6 months later, you have inconsistent layouts, one-off CSS scattered across files and pages, and a disjointed brand expression. Marketing waits on designers rebuild the same components repeatedly, and developers write custom CSS for every variation. Sound familiar? Design systems solve this by creating reusable pieces with clear rules for faster builds and easier onboarding. This methodology provides a mental model for developers and designers to think of interfaces both as a cohesive whole and as a collection of their parts. And the great thing is that today's WordPress is built for design systems. Now, there are many methods for building design system, but there's one that fits WordPress like a glove, and it's atomic design. It's what both NASA and Disney use on top of their WordPress instances. Brad Frost introduced the theory of atomic design back in 2013, and he uses chemistry as his metaphor. The idea is pretty simple. Small building blocks or atoms combine into increasingly complex components as molecules and organisms. So let me break down the 5 levels. Level 1 are the atoms. These are your fundamental building blocks. Think of buttons, inputs, headings, color tokens, typography. They're the smallest functional units that cannot be broken down any further. Level 2 are molecules. Molecules combine atoms into simple groups. So for example, a search form would have a label and an input and a button. A card might have a heading, an image, and a text snippet. You take multiple atoms and create something functional inside of these molecules. Level 3, we have organisms. Organisms are complex components built from molecules and atoms. So things like a site header would have a logo, a navigation bar, search form. An article grid might have multiple cards, featured content, and pagination. Level 4 are templates. Templates define layouts. So a blog post template would have header and a content area, maybe a sidebar and a footer. A landing page template would have a hero with features and testimonials, maybe a CTA or call to action. Notice how we've only talked about the structure, not about the actual content. For content, we have level 5, pages and posts. Pages and posts are actual content-filled instances. Your real blog post using the post template, your actual landing pages with real content, organized with molecules and organisms, all built within the system. So here's where it gets really powerful. Changes cascade logically through this hierarchy. If you update a button atom, every molecule, organism, and template using that button updates automatically. It's not magic, it's a battle-tested design system at work. So let's see this in action on a simple WordPress site. WordPress is built for atomic design, especially the Gutenberg editor. Over the last 3 to 7 years, WordPress has perfected the ability to edit all parts of a website, providing a complete code-free site editing experience. So let's start with the atoms. In order to edit these while in the dashboard, head to Appearance and select Editor. Just open the Styles panel, and here we can see all of the core design tokens like typography, color, shadows, spacing, and so on. So let's say you want to change the font of all of the headings on your website. You simply select typography, then headings, and pick your font. Hit save and reload. Since I'm using a free WordPress.com site with a free theme, I'm limited in what I can do. However, if we're building a custom theme for you, we can give your editors as much flexibility as you would like. Now, this might seem simple, but this is what enables Disney and NASA to make changes across all of their websites. Every site they have leverages these tokens, and this allows non-developers to update atoms across all websites at once without touching the code, as these tokens inherit the updates. The next thing in the hierarchy are molecules, so things like cards, search bar, FAQs, etc. So for example, let's try to update this simple CTA that I've created. So let's go to Appearance, Editor, Patterns, and My Patterns and see the CTA. For this one, we're going to update the language of the button. So we'll change this text here and then hit Save. Anywhere this CTA structure is being used, it's updated automatically. Disney built more than 50 custom Gutenberg blocks as molecules, and this allows marketing teams to combine these into infinite page variations. NASA created nearly 60 blocks in their Horizon system following the same principles. Each block is a molecule that can combine with others, and all of these stay on brand automatically, governed by the design system. The next level in the hierarchy are organisms. Organisms are made by combining multiple molecules together into meaningful sections of the page. So things like footers, headers, maybe a pricing section or testimonial. For this example, let's take the footer. We're going to go Appearance, Editor. We're going to go Patterns, Template Parts, and Footer. Now let's say you want to update the contact details. Let's say my email changed and we're going to update this to just J. Then we'll hit Save. Then when we go over to posts that use the footer, you'll see that these now say J, with that update being pushed across all of the things using that. And the great thing about WordPress is that you can lock down the structure of these organisms or template parts. You can limit these changes by content type, user role, or even by site if you have a multi-site ecosystem. This is how NASA and Disney ensure that their content creators cannot accidentally break the layout or design and just focus on the content. It's a clear separation of concern. If this kind of system is exciting to you, I'd be happy to chat with you and explore how it might work in your specific landscape. I'm the Director of Account Strategy at Multidots and have had the benefit of working on several large-scale design system projects over the course of my career. Now let's move one level higher, templates. Templates define the structure of a page or post, not the content. For example, a blog post template, a landing page template, or a pricing page template. Let's open one of these templates. I'm going to look at the single post template. So we go to Appearance, Editor, Templates, and Single Post. For this, I'm just going to start at the editor window. What you're seeing here is not a real post. There's no real copy, no real images. It's just structure. You can see the header organism at the top. I'm using a hero pattern that I created, content area in the middle, and then the footer organism down here at the bottom. Let's say we want to add a CTA to every post. I'll insert the CTA organism here, then hit Save, and now watch what happens. Every post that uses this template automatically gets that section. You're not editing content, you're shaping how content appears everywhere. And finally, at the top of the hierarchy, we have pages. Pages are where content lives. Let's open an actual page. Now notice something important. I can edit the copy, I can change the images, I can reorder sections, but I'm not touching typography rules, colors, spacing, or interaction logic. Those decisions were already made at the atom, molecule, and organism levels. This gives marketing teams freedom without chaos. You can move fast without breaking anything, and without accidentally redesigning the site on every page. So in summary, here's how everything in the Atomic design system maps to WordPress. At the atom level, we have design tokens and core styles such as colors, fonts, buttons. The molecule level gives us blocks and small patterns like inputs and labels. The organism level includes template parts and complex patterns like cards, headers, footers, FAQs. And then we have templates, which govern the layout of specific pages. You might have one for your homepage, maybe one for an event landing page, or even an archive. And then within those pages and posts is where you control the actual layout. Before you go, I want to share a few pitfalls of implementing this in practice. I've had the benefit of implementing Atomic designs for enterprises, and these are the 5 most common mistakes they make. Mistake number 1 is overflexing the editor. You'll have too many blocks with too many styles without clear rules defined within the system. You need to curate ruthlessly. Disney limits the number of options intentionally. Mistake number 2 is an unstable token layer. Your atoms should be foundational. You shouldn't change design tokens frequently. Iterate more freely on molecules and organisms than you would on the atom layer. Mistake number 3 is poor maintenance. A design system is more than a nice Figma file or a cool theme. It needs an owner, a roadmap, and versioning. NASA has a dedicated design system team, and Disney has design system governance across all of their properties. Mistake number 4 is skipping documentation. Undocumented systems die fast. Your teams ignore them or use them incorrectly. To hold themselves accountable on this, many organizations like Microsoft, Apple, and Salesforce make their documentation public. Check them out, there's some wonderful examples to model your system after. And number 5, ignoring accessibility at the atomic level. You need to test accessibility at the atom level. If your atoms meet WCAG standards, everything built from them inherits that same accessibility standard. So to wrap up, the atomic design methodology transforms your WordPress site from a fragile collection of pages and posts into a robust, scalable system. By organizing your design into atoms, molecules, and organisms, you ensure that a single update cascades everywhere instantly, giving your team the freedom to publish fast without ever breaking the layout, and without the need to wait on a developer to push any code. Just remember the golden rules from NASA and Disney. Keep your base token stable, curate your blocks ruthlessly to avoid clutter, and maintain the design system as your needs evolve. Build the system right, and you'll stop redesigning websites and start growing them.